Welcome everybody to the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. So for those of you that are familiar with my channel, you'll probably know that I've just recently started looking at supplementing my sort of usual content which goes into sort of self-development, spiritual development and sort of very big issue type of readings that go into a lot of depth around it with a lot of different lenses and approaches, with also these ones which I hope are going to be more short, sharp, succinct and very focused on sort of immediate issues, immediate energies, the sort of the practical side of life and all of those sort of things and what spirit can bring to you in terms of information about that. So today's reading of that type is looking at what new or key energy is coming in for you over the next 7 to 14 days. So over the next 1 to 2 weeks, basically, what is the key energy that either is coming in towards you that you need to be aware of and to be able to leverage, or maybe an energy that's arising in you that's important for your aims and your goals and so forth. And we'll be looking at whether that is a blessing, whether it's a challenge, whether it's an opportunity, whether it's a surprise. We'll just see whatever energy spirit wants to talk about for you. And we'll use a different tarot deck for each of the readings. So there's 3 piles to choose from in this set of readings. You can, of course, go to more than one. There might be more than one area in your life where key energies are coming in the next 1 to 2 weeks. We'll also use another tarot deck to clarify a bit around this as well, and then a limited range of oracle cards that I think are well placed to flesh out, I guess, the information around this energy so that you can use it in the best possible way for you. So if the choice of deck helps you in choosing the pile that you resonate to, I'm using the Ace of Fire or Ace of Wands as an indication because I think it's probably of all the tarot deck cards, it's the one that most says to me new energy coming in. So for pile number 1, we have the 8th House Tarot with the Ace of Fire. For pile number 2, we have the Epica Tarot with the Ace of Wands. And for pile number 3, we have the 5 Cent Tarot with the Ace of Matches. So as I say, that will be the main tarot deck that I use for each of those. If tarot decks are what draws you to it or the imagery draws you to it, I will use another single tarot deck as a clarification across all of them. But there may be another way that you choose what deck you're drawn to or what reading, what could be the number, could be the imagery, could be anything. So you do you. And as I said, you can go to more than one reading if you like. When you know what reading or readings you want to go to, the timestamps are in the description box below. And just quickly before I do jump into reading number 1, just want to note that personal readings are available if you are interested in them. Nobody's ever expected to want one, but if you want one, the one way to get it from me is through my Etsy store. The link is in the description box below and also on the link section of the About page for this channel. So if you would like a reading, that's the way to get it. I'll never try and solicit it through DMs or messages or comments. So if anything like that ever comes to you, it's not coming from me. You choose if you want a reading from me, not the other way around, and go to the Etsy store if you do. Okay, with that said, I will see you in your reading. Welcome pile 1 to your reading. So we're going to use the 8th House Tarot to start with to just ask Spirit what key or new energies are arising for you over the next 7 to 14 days and how you can best make use of these, for your highest good and for meeting aims that you might have or dreams that you might have. Then we'll use a different tarot, the Blue Deviant Tarot, to ask how other people might be responding to these energies, either arising in you or that are arising around you, so that you get a sense of the environment and the situation in which this is happening as well. So firstly, let's just get the high-level idea about what are the key energies that are going to be around you. So the first thing is that there's a decision, and it's maybe a decision that you've been putting off for a while. With death reversed, it does have a sense that maybe it's something you've just been waiting on extra information on. Maybe it hasn't been quite the right time. It seems to have a creative aspect to it. It looks to me as though creative or passionate. It could be about love and passion. But I think for many of it's going to be about something creative, something that is coming from the core of who you are, how you want to express yourself and so forth. And one of the reasons you've been a little bit reluctant about making the decision, you haven't fully worked out all the details of what this means. But Spirit is actually saying, even if you feel you haven't, you're very well advanced on whatever this is. So there's probably an opportunity coming up for you over the next 7 to 14 days, either to just put the final stamp on something and release it to the world, or you may get some sort of offer, or you may see an opportunity to go for a job that's going to fit that sort of passion and creative energy, to take something forward in some way. But it's around something where you've been a little bit reluctant to make the decision. A little bit unsure with the Seven of Earth here reversed about what is the best way to invest in this. So I feel as though in the next 7 to 14 months, days, you're going to get a real sense of where you could invest it, so that you make a decision to take something out into the world. So this could be yourself in terms of going for a job. This could be you making the first move around a relationship, or showing that you would be interested in a relationship. It could be you taking a creative project out. But whatever it is, it's something that you're actually more developed with than you're possibly giving yourself credit for, and it's something you've kind of delayed a bit. Now, in terms of how to best use this energy, because I think it's an energy of decision and taking something forward that's been sort of hidden or a little bit, under the radar up until now. And there's a real opportunity to do this in the next sort of, 1 to 2 weeks. This line is to have a look at how to best take advantage of it and to clarify the cards here. So while you are not entirely sure, and this is why you've been a little bit reluctant about it, about what the real creative passion is here or how you want to express it. So a good example of this would be that, maybe you had written a novel and you're not really sure about what agents to send it to, or whether to self-publish or something like that. Like, you're a little bit uncertain about the legs that this thing has, and yet, as I say, Spirit believes it's more developed than you think. You do know, and what will help you make the decision is what you want to get from it emotionally. So it's whatever this is. If it's a relationship, then you do know your heart's engaged. Maybe you're not sure whether it's going to be a reciprocated passion, and so you've been a little bit careful, but it's time to sort of come out and say, yes, I'm interested, or at least indicate that you are. If it's a creative project, it's you know what can help you make the decision about where to present it and how to present it has to do with what you care about, what was the heart reason for it in the first place. Not so much about what's the longer term outcome. Now, Spirit isn't saying that, if it was a book, it couldn't get published and you couldn't make money, or if it was a relationship, it couldn't be one that lasted the long term. But at the moment, the decision and the opportunity is not about the long term. It could develop that way, but it's more important that it's close to your heart and that you recognize what you're bringing to the table around this. Because again, it's saying that you would be less concerned about making a decision, because judgment is reversed here as well, if you knew how developed you were. So if this is about being attracted to someone, you're more attractive than you think you are. Let's put it that way, very charismatic. If it's about a creative project, you're more skilled than you're giving yourself credit for. So understanding that allows you to make the decision more quickly, to break the nexus. And it's your time. Spirit is saying whatever this is, it's your time. It's not a guarantee that in the long term this is something you stay with. You may. It's not saying you wouldn't, but it's your time to step forward, definitely, to release yourself from being concerned about the material outcomes of this. So if it's in a relationship, be less concerned about whether it's long term, be more concerned about whether it's in your heart and the passion is returned. Because if it is, then it's likely to work out in the longer term anyway, or it's an important relationship for you at the moment. If it's about a creative or a material thing or a new job or something like that, what will help you take the step out and take the opportunity is to be less concerned about the material and the worldly power issues around this. That gives you the sense, when you come out from behind the curtain, so to speak, with whatever this is, to feel that you have the right kind of journey. You're going on the right journey. You know what it is in the longer term you want to get out of something, and it's what's in your heart and creatively. And then it will work itself out materially. Spirit is saying don't be as concerned about that. So again, if it's down to, you have some options around something to do creatively, don't necessarily sit down and work out a business case around it. That's not how to use this energy. Look at what you really cared about doing and how you will best express that. That is the energy to take up now, because there's a lot of energy about you just standing in your own power, you just standing in your own creative vision, you just standing in your heart. There's an opportunity around that, and it does require you to come out a little bit from behind the scenes, but you will find very quickly that there is a journey to go on. You have a peace of mind about doing it, that it was really just your own reluctance, your own lack of confidence, and understanding that you really are ready is the key thing, the key energy to take advantage of at the moment. So let's use the Blue Deviant Tarot. Let's just see how other people respond to this, because I do think it does look to me like one of the reasons that you may have been a little bit reluctant to make the decision is this sort of thing about how does this play out in the material world? How does it play out in a relationship? How does it play out in my career? How does it play out in my creative endeavors? Something like that. And so you've been a little bit hiding your significant charismatic and creative light, behind the scenes, being a bit of the hermit over here. So let's just see how other people are going to respond to you taking up this energy and making a decision, and taking the first step towards whatever this is, whatever you want to bring into being and what you care about with it. Okay, so you're going to get mixed, and this makes sense to me because the first two cards here make a lot of sense, because it feels to me like, as I say, you've underestimated yourself. You've almost got a set of values around material outcomes and what it means to be successful and all that kind of thing that I think you've picked up from somewhere, and it's undermining how far you could go, because it looks as though there's someone coming up here as the King of Swords reversed. So someone, and with the Seven of Swords reversed, someone who's very clever, I would say, someone who's very critical, someone who likes their way. This could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be a boss, it could be an editor for a book, it could be anything. But there's a very mental energy around it, a very sort of like how they think energy around it, that is very focused on the material, and maybe has told you whatever this is doesn't have a material outcome. This is why Spirit is saying that's not the key thing at the moment. And in fact, they don't know necessarily what they're talking about. They're very old paradigm, basically. And so if you just followed what they did, well, yes, it'd be a self-fulfilling prophecy, but it would be because you hadn't taken this forward. And if this is around, a friend or somebody who's saying to you, oh, I don't think that person's going to like you, I don't think there's going to be this relationship, I don't think it's got legs, or if you start with them, they'll be with you for a few weeks and then off to somebody else. It's just somebody who's undermining your confidence. So just be aware of that. Don't listen to that, because in the worst case scenario, they're actually doing it deliberately to control you. But I think in many cases, it's just that they've got a very limited vision, and your vision and your charisma is much greater. There will be people who really see what you're doing, and this will have legs in a way that you maybe don't expect. Now, does that mean, a novel becomes a bestseller and you become rich? I don't know. It could, but it could also mean that it still remains not about the material outcome, but about the issue of taking yourself out into the world in some way with something that you're doing, going towards your heart. And it seems that there are people who really respond well to this. So if this is about a relationship, I would expect that it's likely that the person will return it, and it is likely to have longevity when it's the Ten of Cups there. So that's the happy family type of card. But if this is something creative, and I think for many of you it might be, I think there will be a real audience for what you do, and you will be surprised by that. And I think that then shifts everything. I mean, it may even be that part of this thing about don't worry about the business side of it is that you don't yet know until you bring this out. You could be thinking far too small. As I say, you could suddenly, go from sort of writing a novel in your attic and then being the next Stephen King. You don't know how far this could go, but it definitely has a sense of destiny. You're meant to be doing this, and you are very talented in whatever it is. And as I say, if it's a relationship, it's a destined relationship, I would say. But whether in a relationship it's you completely sort of declaring yourself, or whether it's you just, taking a step to sort of spend some time with somebody. It really depends on how that energy is operating, but it definitely does need you to take that confidence about your energy and your attractiveness and what really mattered to you, and just taking that first step, allowing yourself to make a decision to move forward. Okay, so let's have a look firstly at a couple of decks to bring up some sort of personality aspects that could help you take advantage of this. So we're just going to pull a couple of cards from each just quickly to sort of see what kind of personality energy is around you at the moment that you could leverage. So sight and circumspection. Okay. So this is saying, I mean, there's two aspects of you, and it's about bringing it into balance, and like circumspection is about balance. You definitely have a vision. This is the King of Fire. Don't doubt that. So, but don't allow yourself to be blinded by other people either. So some of the other energy around you with this blindness and disregard could be some of the people who you've talked to about this, or friends who don't think that you should be with someone. Trust your vision. Your vision is coming from your heart and is more developed than you think. Circumspection means that you will know who to talk to and who not to talk to. There are definitely some people to maybe not tell your plans to, not show this to. So I think that this is about bringing it into balance and understanding your energy compared to other people's energy and so forth. There's also the risk that if you tell the wrong people, they might, in fact, somehow get in the way of it. So be careful. You will probably know who these people are. Don't maybe show them that stuff. Take it out to the audience that you want. You don't have to tell everybody your plans. You don't have to get the approval of other people for your plans. You are ready to do this. Also going to pull some Aboriginal wisdom as well, because this also sort of looks at kind of like energies and personality aspects and how to use them best. Okay, so this is saying you need to be in the space of being excited. It's actually possible that part of the thing that will push you to make this decision, even if you're kind of reluctant, is that you don't want to stay in a bored situation. You don't want to stay stuck. I think there's people around you who would like you to stay stuck. You're meant to be excited. You're meant to be taking this forward. This is from your heart. In whatever way it's playing out, you're meant to sort of really pick up, be excited by the vision that you have, be excited about how far you can go, have that sense of Six of Swords that you're about to start a journey and it's the right journey for you. It's with the Chariot, a destined journey for you. But be flexible, variable here. You don't have to be so reliable anymore. Reliable is up there. It's like you have been reliable. You've done sort of what other people wanted. You've fitted in with the group. You've fitted in with friends, family, career, whatever it is. This is your time to do something a bit different, to be flexible, to pick up the energies and change. This is again why it's not important to worry about the material outcome. I think that's going to look after itself. But I think maybe whatever this is, the first big thing, the first big energy is to have faith in it and take it forward. From there, I think you will be variable. You'll shift. That pathway will shift, but it will shift in the way you want. This is why I think perhaps the outcome of this is bigger than you expect it to be. But you've got to have that faith to take it forward. I want to get you a couple of spiritual supports for that from the Divine Animals deck to give you the energy that will help you really take this on. So dog, companionship. You will have good people. This is what it's saying. If you have had that sort of sense of not being with your people or being held down, there are the right people. You're going to bring those people in, and dog will help you with that, with getting the right connections and knowing who to trust. And polar bear, ancestors. Okay, so I think there's a double message here. I think that there will be some ancestral spirit guides and so forth the polar bear sort of represents that will help you with this. And this is why it could be bigger than you expect. And this is also why you're more developed than you think. There's almost a lineage to what you're doing in some way, or the right connection that you're trying to reach out for that fits with some sort of ancestral karma potentially. But I also think it's saying that you need to determine which of your sort of like influences are the right influences on you, because I do think that for many of you there's been an influence that hasn't been working in your benefit, that's limited you too much. So don't feel limited by that. Look for what expands you from your ancestral line, and the right people to connect with, your right tribe, so to speak. Okay, let's get some astrology energy for you to sort of also help you make the most of this. Libra, first house. Yes, this is definitely about you being you. And cardinal, initiating. Yeah. So the balance that we're talking about here, this is about grabbing energy that is about you and how you present yourself in the world. It could be around love, but I think for most of you it's about, your career, your creativity, and owning your King of Fire energy here. You're meant to shine. This is part of your destiny. You're meant to sort of do that, and you're meant to initiate. You're meant to do something that is a bit different. That's why the material outcome can't be assured at this point. But I don't think you should take that as that it won't have a material outcome. I think it's potentially going to be bigger than you think, but you won't know till you take those first steps. And Libra is using your intellect and your balance to make the decisions, to not stay stuck in the views of others, but actually to look at how do I make decisions, balanced decisions that show who I am in the world and that I can initiate that. That's the key energy around this for you. So let's finish with a couple of cards from the Aha Oracle for any other Aha moments or energies or approaches to this that will really help you take advantage of this potential over the next couple of weeks. So this is a beautiful sort of ending really to this, because it's picking up the two key issues about this. This is actually the card of serendipity. So it very much picks up the energy of, this something's coming through, like an acknowledgement, a recognition, an opportunity to step out, an opportunity to say something, or even just you making that opportunity. But with it is serendipity, is synchronicities. The universe is moving in your direction. This is a very positive time for you. And this is the card of strength. So understanding your strength. This is a David and Goliath type card. The book talks about that. And I think that's very much the thing here. I feel as though you may have been, whether deliberately or not, put into a bit of a box by some people, and it made you wonder about, what you had to offer. But it's far more developed than you think. It comes very much from the heart, and it has a huge amount of potential, just as David could deal with Goliath. So if there are what you have felt were constraints or you felt not good enough, this is a message from Spirit, a very strong message to say you are good enough and you are strong enough. And as you own that strength, serendipity, good luck, good fortune is coming to you. So I hope that resonates for you, Pile 1. I think there's some really exciting energy coming through for you, and it's just the beginning of a much bigger journey. I hope that does make sense and that it's helpful. If so, please like the video and subscribe. And if you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Other than that, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So we're going to start with shuffling and asking Spirit with the Epica Tarot for the high-level key new energies coming in for you or arising in you over the next 1 to 2 weeks, and some clarification and information about how best to use those energies. Then we're going to use the Blue Deviant Tarot to just get an idea about how other people are responding around you, so you get a bit of a situational awareness of whatever this energy is. Then we'll use some oracle cards to give you further advice and support. So firstly, let's get a sense about what is the new energy arising in you or coming towards you in the next 1 to 2 weeks. Okay, so this looks as though it has to do with groups in some way. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be a community group you're in, it could be a workplace, but it looks as though there's a really positive energy around more harmony coming in to a group or a situation. So if it's in work, it could be the team that you're in. If it's home, it could be around your home life, following some emotional drama or emotional tensions. So if you've come to the right reading, you're coming off the back of something that was emotionally a bit difficult in some forms of relationships, I would say. And what's coming in through your spiritual understanding, I think, and your vision, you're going to be a key part of this with the High Priestess, is a shift out of something that was a bit stuck and maybe a little bit critical or demanding, but not demanding in a good way. So a classic sort of thing would be something like a team environment, and you come in with the aha moment about how to shift beyond a blame game and a kind of a stuck energy materially, so that there is better team harmony and so that more can be achieved. If it is around a family situation, it could be that there's someone that has caused a bit of emotional ruckus within a family, some sort of issue. It could be an issue that you've dealt with where, you know, somebody, a parental figure or a sibling, hasn't agreed with something that you've done. It's maybe quite conservative while you're more sort of spiritual and a bit more progressive, something like that potentially. But whatever it is, you are coming into a time where you can bring more harmony into that. And whether it is that you just find a way to contain this, because this feels almost like containing a kind of critical energy so that it doesn't sort of explode or anything. You're very much a diplomat. You're very much a peacekeeper, but it comes from your spiritual knowing. You're very strongly psychic, very spiritual. And I think this is why you're the person to do it. But it is bringing a nicer energy in, and how you can make the most benefit out of it and clarifying some of these things. Firstly, it is to have an eye to what is just. There's something unjust from this person, I would say. With the Queen of Swords reversed, that's when the kind of great sort of incisive, precise mind gets a little bit turned in on itself or turned against others in some way. And it's often not just. It's often kind of very controlling. So I think your capacity to bring balance is one of the ways you can outthink this person. You're not just more spiritual, you're actually probably smarter than this person, though they may well think they're the smartest person in the room, but you actually do have more of a sense. And part of it is because right is on your side, really. And you can liberate an energy. It feels like it's been constrained. It looks like you are liberating the energy, looking to what frees up resources, enthusiasm, happiness, all of those sorts of things. And being prepared to go into the battle because you know that you've got right on your side intellectually, and you also know on a spiritual level that you are on the side of the angels, I guess. You do need to understand this person will fight back, but they're not at your level. With the Seven of Wands, it's always, it's a battle, it's a competition, but you're sort of like, it's always like your wand, so to speak, is higher. It has a stronger position of strength, which comes from the fact that you're balanced. And you want to liberate energy, not constrain it. But this person could be a bit petty, but you counter that kind of constriction with generosity. It's almost like you defeat them with kindness. It's almost like they come with all kinds of things to try and stir up division and issues and so forth. And what you do is you meet them with kindness, with balance, with clarity, and with confidence. And in doing that, you show yourself to be the bigger person, the generous person, and you shift the energy. It does have a lot of a feeling around, as I say, a workplace, but as I say, it could be a group of friends, it could be a family situation. There's just something where your psychic, spiritual sort of understanding, like the intuition and empathy you have, married with a very sharp mind, is able to best a much more constrictive energy around you. And I think you actually liberate and help others in the process of it. You're sort of seen to be a great leader, a very generous person. This energy can't win out. You have moral high ground, basically. Okay, so let's see how other people respond, because, we know at least from this that you're going to have some pushback from the Queen of Swords reversed there. So the person who's kind of liked the old world order, so to speak, isn't going to like what you're doing here. But I do think there's a lot of harmony you bring in. So let's just sort of see the energy with the Blue Deviant Tarot about other people's responses to you sort of exercising this kind of liberation role, this sort of peacekeeper role in the environment that you're in. Okay, so firstly, you are very much the liberator of the oppressed and the isolated. Now, there's something in this that you're going to sort of help with. People have felt very alone. People have felt that they couldn't speak up. And you're coming to the fore with this. That there's going to be a very positive response to it, but it may not be immediate. So it's more like the harmony you create, you start to see, and people start to see how much they've been silenced. But you are actually drawing people out, and there are people who will really respond to the spiritual side of what you're doing. Even if you're not overtly talking about spirituality, you will find those sort of connections. But there's definitely a sense that this energy here, whether this person meant to do it or not, this energy kind of isolated people, divided people, kept everybody in their own little spots. And what you're doing is bringing that out and clearing that energy. And I think people will appreciate it, but you may not, it doesn't feel necessarily like, you're sort of hoisted up on the shoulders of everybody and they parade you through the streets for the glory of what you've done. It's more that you will start to see more connection, more community, more sense of cohesiveness coming out of this. I do think, though, if it's in a workplace, that it may give you some options. It may be that you're recognised on that level. You may find that you have options about the next job to do. You may be promoted. You may get to act in a higher level because you've demonstrated this capacity. So certainly where this is in sort of a traditional workplace, it looks as though your capacity is recognised and options come to you. If it's not in that, if it's in family and so forth, it looks as though you inspire in other people a different way to operate and work that is still consistent with whatever the culture is and so forth, but gives a sense of choice to people. So I feel that most people are going to respond very well, but you're not going to hear a lot about it unless they're in a position of power. This person we've seen already, I think, is going to be an issue. But I think overall, if this, say, was in a workplace, then people even more senior to that are going to see this as a good thing and are going to give you options coming out of it. So this is very much you starting to understand what you could do within groups and how you're strong enough and clear enough and I think spiritually sound enough to be able to bring harmony and liberation where there was maybe constriction and blame games and all of that kind of thing. So let's have a look and see what kind of personality aspects you have that will particularly help you work with this energy. Imitation and sight. Sight came up in one of the others, which is interesting. But it makes perfect sense with this as well too. Might go to that one first. You have the vision. And the people who will understand you also have it too, to maybe not as strong an extent, but have it as well as you. You can see what's going on here. You can understand it, like on an intellectual level and on a spiritual level. And you can see that maybe this sort of constrictive energy picks up the blindness and disregard. You're much more a person for the people than the person you're dealing with. This is one of your strengths. But having said that, you also know how to fit in. You know with imitation here how to emulate and fit in. This is why I think the Hierophant's important. So if you are actually underneath wanting to significantly shift a workplace culture, for instance, then this is the first of a number of things that you will do because you know how to fit in with the culture. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. You know how to do that, but to not let it get in the way of your sight and so forth. And you don't cheapen it. So it's not about mimicry or anything like that. You take what you can from the culture and emulate it so that you do fit in. And if it's in your family, then you're able to still fit in with your family's overall beliefs. You can fit in even if there is a little bit of wearing a mask until you can have more impact. So you know how to deal with situations. You know how to sort of operate within environments and with groups. That's why this has such a strong group energy to it. Let's use another deck for just a little bit more information about your sort of psychological or emotional energy around this. Okay, I think this is actually picking up the energy that you're around rather than yours and how you balance this out. Because we've got timid and we've got solemn. I feel that's the environment for some reason that you're in. Largely because of this energy, I would say, or people have not, and maybe for a long time you haven't felt you could actually sort of say what you thought. But I think you're coming into your power and being able to do that. This is what you're liberating. But you bring the balance in so that it doesn't tilt over into recklessness. So you are getting the balance between this. It's like this is an environment, like if it's a work environment, where it isn't that the whole thing's going to collapse or that even necessarily that a boss has to be unseated, so to speak. They just have to be managed. It's not about throwing out everything and starting again. It's not the reckless thing, but equally it's not about going, well, you can't do anything. The light that you're going to shine is showed the midway point. And you're dealing with solemn people, but I think you bring out optimism. So your vision brings the optimism. And your capacity to balance this by emulating what does work in the environment and not what doesn't, and as I say, this doesn't have to be in work, but work's a good example of it, That's what's going to bring this in. You understand this, you get it. Let's get you some divine animal totem energy to also support you. Got sea turtle, stability. Yeah, so you're not, this is not about destroying things. It's not about blowing everything up. You know, this is about finding the midway through. And I think you're going to do that in the next couple of weeks. You're going to sort of say the right thing, do the right thing, win the right battle, whatever this is, to sort of bring stability and and a healthier sort of energy. And sea turtle will help you with that. And we also have sea horse, and this is a quality. Yeah. You're bringing balance in. You're a very balanced person. You're a very fair person. This is the justice. This is the high priestess. Does have a very strong work or community group or social cause type feeling to it. But, you know, it could be, as I say, in friendships and family as well. But you are there to sort of stabilize and bring equality to something. It's the soft shift. It's the Gandhi-esque sort of like peaceful protest as opposed to blow everything up type of energy. So it's a very positive energy around you. Let's get you some astrological guidance as well. Sagittarius, yeah, freedom, philosophy. It's a philosophical shift. This is the thing. It's a different way, and it's a liberating energy. New moon. Yeah, planting something new. Having gone within. This is what I say. There's been something with the Eight of Cups there. There's been something that's been a bit difficult. You've had some aha moments leading up to this, but you're ready to seed the new. And full moon to bring in the harvest. And it happens quite quickly. So whatever this is, I think not only does the new energy come in the next couple of weeks, but certainly within the next month, I would say you'll have gone through the whole process and you have brought in a different way of doing things. It may be very subtle or it may be quite significant, but it won't destabilize. It will actually bring more stability and more balance into whatever the situation is. Okay, so we're just going to finish with a couple of cards from the Aha Oracle for any last aha moments that are important for you to think about, or energies that are important to you to think about in this next 2 weeks. So this is very interesting because I feel like this is kind of showing me a bit more about that Eight of Cups, because the Dragonfly card here is about really having gone through a maturation process and having really understood something and being ready to fly and be in a new form. So I do think that you're coming into an understanding of how much you could be a peacemaker, how much of a change agent in a very, very positive way and a very visionary sort of way. And it probably has come out of sort of a period where it kind of felt a bit petty, like some of the arguments and so forth, a bit petty. But you're ready to sort of go to that next level. And it says here, action follows faith. It's like once you actually understand that self, you have faith in yourself, then you really start the pathway. So I feel as though whatever this Eight of Cups was, which I also think was maybe the little bit of the dark night of the soul with the new moon before you could actually start to seed what is new, gave you that vision. That's why vision is so important. And you have the faith, therefore, spiritually and intellectually you can win this battle. You can change things, and you can change them for the better, and you can bring stability and so forth to other people. So there has been a kind of a gathering of faith from a situation that was difficult. And I think going forward in the next couple of weeks, you're going to have opportunities either subtly or very, very significantly, as I say, depending upon the situation, to take some of that faith forward and to start the progress towards a better scenario for you and for others. So I hope that resonates for you, Pile 2, and I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share about it in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 3, to your reading. So we're going to start with the 5-cent tarot, and we're going to ask Spirit for the sort of high-level information on the key energies that are either arising in you or coming towards you in some way for your highest good over the next 2 weeks, and then some advice about how to best use those energies. Then we'll use the blue Deviant tarot to have a look at how other people are responding to those energies and your your response to those energies so that you get a bit of situational awareness as well about what's coming up over the next 1 to 2 weeks for you. So this is the key energy, the key issue or approach or matter that will be arising in that period for you. Okay, so for a start, with the messenger coming up, your spirit guides are going to be very close to you over this next 2 weeks. There is something significant, I think, going to happen for you, and it's something, a new foundation, a new opportunity for a new foundation to come in with the Three of Buttons or Three of Pentacles. This could be around career or around something that's long-term, like bringing in something long-term that you are now just starting to build. So it could be career, it could be something creative, it could be a relationship. The reason your spirit guides are with you, and they want you to know that there is something that you've started to work on, something you've started to dream about, whatever it is with the Three of Buttons, is something to do, is that you've gone through a process more recently by the looks of things where something didn't work out the way you wanted it to. Now, it could be a relationship with the Three of Cups reversed that didn't become a committed one with the Ten of Buttons or Ten of Pentacles reversed. It could be friendships that broke up for some reason. It could be a career option that you wanted that didn't pan out, or a career ambition, or going for jobs and it didn't happen. If that's the case, then I think something's coming through quickly for you. You're starting to put the right things in place. But whatever it is, this is meant to release you from a situation with the Queen of Needles reversed as well too, where you've become your own harshest critic. So whatever it is, whether it's around career, whether it's creativity, whether it's relationship, because something didn't work, you feel like, well, nothing's going to work. But your spirit guides are saying, actually, you've already started doing something in whatever this space is that is going to build. Like the foundation is there. If it's about wanting to find the right people to work with, it's a card of collaboration. You actually really do have people around you that you can connect to, even if some people have let you down before, friends or family or workmates or whatever it is. That is there, and that's going to become clearer to you, either very literally by something happening. Somebody may be making an offer to collaborate, or it could be an offer of a job, or it could be sort of the next step in your career that you least expect, because you're at the moment really turning in on yourself, and your spirit guides, a messenger here, wants you to know that's not what you should do. That if something didn't work, it wasn't the right thing, but something you have done something. It could even be that there's a project or something you've done, creatively or in your career, which in itself didn't pan out the way that you wanted, but there's still something in it that can now be done in a different way. That's another way that you could look at these energies. But whatever it is, it's a very strong message coming to you that you've already started on the path that's going to work. And it's the path, looking here about how to use it, that you feel most emotionally attuned to, that makes you feel emotionally resonant, emotionally authentic with the Queen of Cups. If you had continued down the pathway doing exactly what this other thing was, you wouldn't have felt as connected to it, and you would ultimately have continually been critical of yourself doing it. It's almost like this was a deal with the devil and you've actually let it go and you're doing something that's more true to you. Now, I'm not saying that literally, but just in that sense of, maybe it was a career option that you could have gone down but it wasn't really working out. And in the end, if you'd done it, you wouldn't have felt true to yourself and you wouldn't have been happy with that. So there is something. You've met the right people. There's something where, and I think it could be around meeting the right people, even if this didn't work out. And this is going to be much more connected to your heart, and you are going to be much more able to connect with these people and work with these people in whatever this is. Or if it's around a relationship, there's a much, much more beautiful emotional connection in the offing. And I think it's someone you know already. So it could be a friend if it's about a relationship. And that takes you out of a sense of being alone. See, there's something about this, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a career option, whatever it was, whether it's a friendship group, where you felt alone all the time, and you were maybe trying to cling on because you wanted a return on investment in it. But the reality was, the longer you stayed, the more you felt alone. This new option, this new opportunity, this message coming to you is to allow you to recover from that and to reach out and connect with the right people. There's something you just need to close out with the universe here. So this is a very clear message that, if you're clinging on to something, let it go. Except for if you think there's something that is still there, then work on that. But there's a different focus that you need to do. It's time to close something out so that you can bring something else in. Until you do that, until you hear this message, you're actually limiting your freedom. But this is also saying that there may be an element of needing to slow down here. This card talks about that when the Eight of Matches or Eight of Wands is reversed. So it may be saying that you were on the fast track and it was exhausting you and you were having a hard time of it and giving yourself a hard time. Or you felt that you had to burn the candle at both ends to get everything done and it just wasn't returning to you and you were just kind of feeling very kind of separated out. So slowing down, looking at that first principles, what you want to build, what was emotionally important to you will help. You don't have to go into every battle. This is, I think, is kind of the part of you that is the critic. It looks as though with the Seven of Matches reversed or Seven of Wands reversed here, that can be not going into the fight. And this card talks about giving in. I think that there's a part of you that still feels if you don't somehow stick with whatever this is, you're giving in. But I think Spirit is saying that's the wrong thing. That you allow yourself to close that out, slow down. There's something better for you. So it's a very strong message that says, there's a pathway you are on, whether it's work, relationships, friendships, whatever it was. And it's not, sometimes it's strategic to separate. It's not giving in, it's strategy. But don't give yourself such a hard time. Okay, so I think this is saying that, you're going to take a fork in the road and do something different. You're going to have this realization that this was a lost cause in a way, but there is something better that you can build and you've already started to. So given that, let's see how other people are going to be responding to this, because we always need to understand the situation we're in. And there do seem to be other people involved in this, both people that will be very good for you and also maybe people that held you back or made you feel lesser or demanded more of you than they were prepared to give and so forth. So let's see just what the energy to you realizing to recalibrate and build on what is going to be positive for you. Okay, so this is very much showing the reaction of those who've been demanding a lot from you in whatever this was, like friendships, family, work, whatever it was. I think a lot of you, it might be work. There was a lot of demand put on you, but there wasn't the collaboration, and that's not going to shift. So if you thought, well, maybe if I hang on a bit, if that message is there, maybe I can find a way to recalibrate with them and collaborate with them. They aren't the right people. The people where that you have had this sense of being isolated, not supported, critiqued, that made you feel that you just had to hang on for grim determination, they're not the people, and it will become very, very clear. That allows you to make a more pragmatic decision about what you care about. These people are not aligned with your heart. Whatever this was is not aligned with your heart. And in doing that, it was suppressing your life path. Also, these people don't know what they're doing. These people around this, they're kind of in the rat race. This is what it feels like being in the rat race. And you shouldn't do that. You can do so much more if you sort of find what is true to you rather than just kind of trying to live up to whatever it is that they think success looks like. Some around you, the ones who are aligned with you, the ones that are here, are going to slow down too. I feel like there are people out of this situation. So if it's a workplace and it's an incredibly competitive, incredibly high-paced workplace that just doesn't have a return on investment, then you starting to step back and saying, I'm going to actually put me first and work out, go a bit slower, do whatever I need to do, shift jobs, whatever it is. I think you're going to have others who have a similar view. They're going to actually say, you know what, I've been caught in the same thing. They're going to agree with you. So you will find the right people. This is why I feel like if it's around work, then there's people in your environment that will be your future collaborators, but they're just not the ones that you're really mixing with at the moment. If it's around friendships, then some friendships may move with you from a friendship group or a community group. If it's a community group that got very egotistical and very much about the powers of the world and lost sight of what it was trying to do, then others will say, you know what, you're right, and come with you. But there are definitely some that remain a lost cause, and do not feel it's your fault. It's not your fault. Okay, let's have a look at some psychological energy for you that can help you, because I think you just need to detach, slow down, and recalibrate. This is what this period of time is just to get that message, I think, and to start to think about what's true to your heart and who would be the right people to partner with, to be less concerned about the viewpoints of others. So we've got parenthood, okay, philoprogenitiveness, and tune, resonance. Okay, so there may be, some of you, this may be connected to family. It could be connected to family's demands, family's ideas, family, your parents' ideas about what you should do. There could also be those that say, if you are a parent or you have responsibilities for others, like, well, you've just got to stay working that hard. You can't step back, you can't slow down. But this is about parenthood in the broader sense, I think. This is about parenting the right thing that will ultimately work better for you. While you're caught in that kind of space, if you have those sorts of responsibilities, then it still is a diminishing return. To use parenthood and philoprogenitiveness right, it's about finding the legacy. To do that, you need to find the thing that's true to you and build from that. So there's just something that, I just feel like there's been this responsibility put on you, either literally or psychologically. But there is a different way to meet your life path. There's a different way to meet any responsibilities that you have. And that is about finding the people that you're in tune with, where there's a resonance. Because there just isn't in whatever this situation is. So if you were in a community group, for instance, and you just felt completely out of touch now with it, don't feel that you have a responsibility to try and change it. It's just move on. There will be the right people for you. So it just depends on how this is playing out. But it is really understanding the law of diminishing returns, but that there is a better way. Let's get another deck for some more sort of energetic or psychological aspects to take into account in this situation. Okay, so this is really kind of the journey you need to go on. At the moment, you're disappointed. You are. And some people may be disappointed in you, but you know what? You're meant to be trying to move to what would be more satisfying. That will actually build more for you in the end. Once you actually let go of the disappointment and think about what would satisfy you, it takes you to a more serene place. At the moment, you're just agitated. You're kind of constantly toggling between, well, maybe there's a solution, in whatever this is. The reality is that it's moving towards what you want brings the serenity and brings the solution, and the right people are going to come with you. Okay, let's get you some divine animal support as well, because I think this is a bit of a tricky one. It's a bit of a challenge associated with this energy in the next couple of weeks, but it really is an aha moment, and it will put you on a much better track. But let's see what animal totems can support you. Jackal, truth, yeah. Just the truth. Jackal is here for you to see the truth. This is what the spirit guides. In fact, the jackal might be a very strong spirit guide for you at the moment. I think also maybe a bird energy is a spirit guide for you as well too. But this is about truth. This is about really just facing up to it, knowing it, and going to your emotional truth. Others will follow you. And lioness, protection. Yeah, see, this is the interesting. You will be protected. There's very strong spirit guides around you, but there is something about protection here. I think you feel a sense of responsibility to others in some way. But I think this is just saying you'll find the way to do that in a different way. And once you sort of face up to the truth of the situation, I just feel like this rat race, all this, I'm just trying to keep everything together. There could be financial issues around, there could be anything, but there is a pathway. But it's balancing that sense of protectiveness for others and the truth so that you find the pathway that's actually going to work in the longer term. Let's find you some astrology support. Because I'm getting that you're a very kind person, and that is beautiful. It's the most beautiful energy I think you can have, but it can be exploited. So it's important not to let people exploit it. Okay. we've got square. So we'll have a look at the planets around that. I do think that that says there is a tension around this. There is, in the next couple of weeks, are coming to this conclusion and starting to make some choices. It is an aspect of action, but there's tension associated with it. Mercury, and it is going to be how you communicate and what you communicate. But I do think that once you do that, using the sort of tarot magician connection, you really do have the power to bring about what you want, and you are very much getting very strong spiritual support. And Mars, yeah, action, communication and action. Mercury and Mars might actually kind of be square in that. It might be saying that kind of the action and your communication, they need to align more. At the moment, you're putting a lot of action into something that doesn't fit with how you view the world, what you want to do, what you want to express. But let's also see if there's any other planets that want to come up for that square. So I'm just going to deal out till I get planets. Neptune. So this is the spirit guides coming in. They're calling on you to have this aha moment. And Saturn, the aha moment about the structures and the powers of the world. And what do you want to do in the long term? You have been following a kind of Saturnian sort of energy here in that, oh, I've got to do what's necessary, to pay the bills or look after other people or be responsible or fit the cultural type of my workplace or whatever. This is saying you can do it yourself as well too, getting into your inner knowing, you can do it yourself. But there is a tension. You have to balance your ideals and the kind of almost material outcome of it in some way. So to finish off the reading and to hopefully give you a last couple of kind of aha messages that will help you with this, just going to pull a couple of cards from the aha oracle. Wow, that one came up. That one came up for another. So maybe that a few of you are going to a couple of readings. This card is the cicada. So it's all about time and change and allowing yourself the time to change. So this is part of the allow yourself to slow down. I think it's a double message on that you need to kind of rethink what you want to do. And you may not be able to slow down. I mean, if you're in some, big four consultancy and it's like work, 60 hours a week, you may not instantly be able to do that. But to the degree that you can slow down and think and start to plan and work out where you take your skills and so forth, do that. And don't use it as another way to whip yourself up. So don't sort of go, oh, well, like Spirit told me I had to kind of just move on from this, but I don't know what I'm going to do yet. And, if I slow down, what do I do? And why don't I make the decision immediately? I don't think this is saying you have to do action immediately, fairly soon, but not immediately. I think at first it's more like surveying your environment, slowing down, getting a sense of what it is that you want to do and who you would want to work with, or if it's not around work, like your relationships, what are the type of relationships that you want? You can sort of meet all your responsibilities, all your obligations, all of those sort of things, but there's a different way of doing it. So give yourself time to do it, because that's going to give you the faith in yourself. Then your action can follow. When you really understand that, when you've taken time to slow down and work out how much you do have in your kit bag, how much you can still meet all your obligations, you can still do what you want to do in the world, and how supported you are by Spirit, then you will have the faith to take the action, but give yourself the time. So this is an energy coming in to contemplate, I think, and to find the truth. After that, you can start to work out a timetable that suits you, and it should suit you rather than other people. So I hope that resonates for you, Pile 3. I hope it was helpful. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. But beyond that, I hope to see you in future readings.